This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. 20-year-old arrested after security feature on phone breaks robbery case. A security feature that was activated on a taxi operator's cellular phone resulted in an armed robber being caught by the police. Giovanni Lee, 20, of Lenwood Path, Kingston 11, was on Monday, May 9, charged with robbery with aggravation and illegal possession of firearm following an incident that occurred on Ashoka Road, Kingston 11, on Wednesday, April 6. Lee reportedly boarded the taxi that was traveling towards Seaview Gardens. He later brandished a firearm and robbed the driver of his possessions, including a cellular phone, before exiting the vehicle and escaping. The driver subsequently made a report to the police. The security feature, which was activated on the phone, sent Lee's images to the taxi operator's email after he tried to gain access to the phone. Weeks later, Lee was seen and pointed out to the police. He was subsequently arrested and charged following an interview. His court date is being arranged. Lawyer claims a conspiracy led to teacher being charged with boogering male student. A defense attorney on Wednesday claimed that a possible conspiracy between students and the teachers at a popular high school in St. Anne resulted in a male teacher being slapped with charges relating to the molestation of a 15-year-old male student. The damning assertion was made during an in-camera hearing of the case in the St. Anne Parish Court. The 24-year-old teacher has been charged with 1 count each of buggery, indecent assault, and grievous sexual assault. Due to the nature of the case and the private hearing of the matter, the identities of all parties involved are being withheld. The educator was remanded into custody until next week to facilitate further investigations by the police, which could lead to additional charges being laid against him relating to another male student. Allegations are that the teacher was arrested by the police at the high school last Thursday after a complaint was filed by the student and his parents. But the news understands that the educator's attorney vehemently denied those allegations, arguing that the complainant is much bigger in body than her client. Further, she said the teacher previously taught the boy at the lower grades and there were no such allegations made prior to last week. The attorney told the presiding judge that it was clear by the text messages that the complainant continued to message the educator and offered him certain things. In addition, the lawyer maintained that there was evidence to suggest that the complainant conspired with another child to draw out the accused man. That child, it is understood, is alleging that the educator also had a sexual contact with him, and a statement was being prepared, prosecutors indicated. The attorney in her submissions asserted that the conspiracy not only involves the students, but it might also involve the teachers, who were purportedly jealous of the multiple awards the accused teacher has received since being at the school. The defense argued, too, that there were messages alluding to the conspiracy, which indicated that it had gone too far. The clerk of the court objected to bail being granted to the accused, as she feared that he could interfere with the investigations being conducted to lay new charges. The matter was set for next week to further consider the bail application. Thieves drain tank overnight at health center. Thieves emptied the Claremont Health Center's water tank Tuesday night, forcing it to turn away some of those in need of medical care on Wednesday. We have suspended services as our backup water supply, which would last 3 days, was depleted overnight. We commenced using the supply on the 10th of May, and we discovered early this morning that there was no water in the tank, parish manager for the St. Anne Health Department, Nadia Nunes, told the news. Healthcare workers at the center were disheartened at the turn of events but tried their best to help patients. We had to send home some of the patients, but we dealt with the cases that were emergencies as best as we could, said Nunes. All of our patients who turned up this morning were understanding of the situation, as they were also affected by the water lock-off, she added. As they waited Wednesday for National Water Commission employees to go back to work, Nunes and her team were also actively trying to find other sources of the commodity. We are in the process of contacting private water suppliers to resume services, but they are also facing challenges because their supply comes from the NWC source. We have not been able to find a supplier who can access water as yet. We are hoping to find a supplier and that services can be resumed, said Nunes. The hope is that patients whose appointments had to be rescheduled will soon be able to visit the center. As soon as we identify a water source, our patients will be made aware. There are also a lot of health aides in the area who will get the information out as soon as we resume normal services, Nunes promised. Councillor Lambert Ware of the People's National Party Claremont Division, who decried the theft of the water, warned that there will likely be more cases. This also happened to a basic school in Golden Grove. They had a tank filled with water, and when they went there it was dry. People went there and drained out everything, he said. This will continue to happen, or even worse, if this water situation is not resolved. NWC can't have a motto that water is life and you take it away from people. They could have found some other means to state their problems, he said. Civil servants could take industrial action. Water strike ends as negotiations resume. Government, while reaching an agreement for the resumption of work at the National Water Commission following a two-day strike, faced more troubles Wednesday night with a threat by civil servants to take industrial action. The 30,000-strong members of the Jamaica Civil Service Association warned of the possibility of industrial action starting as early as today in response to what the leadership of the association says is a neglect shown by the Finance Ministry to its request for a meeting to discuss new issues arising from recent salary benefit developments. According to the JCSA President O'Neill Grant, there is need for a proper sit-down to discuss whether some major concerns can be addressed at this time. If they can be addressed fulsomely, then we can do that. If it can't, then we will have to sit down with the ministry and go through whatever alternatives we can come up with, Grant told the news Wednesday night. In the meantime, the two-day-old strike at the NWC ended last night, with the unionized workers expected to turn up for the 11 p.m. shift. It could not be ascertained how much of an effect the resumption would have on the scheduled water lockoffs by this morning, but Wednesday night's return has given the Commission and the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service enough breathing room to address their issues concerning a job reclassification which led to the strike. The water shortage, which quickly developed after a breakdown in discussions on reclassification of the staff, was ascribed primarily to a shutdown of service from the company's major treatment plants across the island by the disgruntled workers. It is understood that in some cases, soldiers had to be deployed in efforts to assist the technical staff in reviving production at these major facilities, as the workers and their unions ignored the calls to resume normality on Tuesday. But getting the treatment plants back to normal operations has been proceeding much too slowly for the system in locations such as Kingston and St. Andrew, Mandeville, Manchester, St. Anne, and Trelawney, forcing the parties to focus more on the water situation and the growing public discontent, and to reach a decision to resume normality after nearly 2 virtual waterless days. It wasn't until after more than 6 hours more of conciliation under the auspices of the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, and with the nudging of its conciliary staff, that the parties eventually broke bread and conceded to the need to end the strike. Trade union and company sources attending the meeting at the ministry were tight-lipped about the details of what they considered an understanding between them and the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, but it seemed to be a tremendous relief for both sides as an agreement was finally reached which should facilitate a peaceful resolution of the disputes. In the meantime, the JCSA said Wednesday that the association had sent a memorandum to the Finance Ministry reminding senior officers of the need to meet and discuss outstanding issues and to respond to the request by 5 p.m. Wednesday. However, there was no response. If there is no response, I will have to report back to the members this evening to let them know what happened, and they will give me a further mandate. Then we will have to act on that mandate, Grant said. 2 weeks ago, the JCSA accused the ministry of frustrating and delaying their attempts to negotiate a claim owed as far back as March of last year. The association mentioned a document labeled Benefits, which addresses the very items of their claim that they wish to negotiate and settle, but which it claimed were being ignored. The JCSA accused the ministry of attempting to use the compensation review as a means to eliminate the claims without negotiations being settled, as well as an attempt to destroy the collective bargaining process and to weaken the organization of its membership. Other public sector groups said grants have been finding fault with the compensation review process, saying these discussions are crucial, especially in light of the announcement that the motor vehicle duty concession benefit will end on June 30, an announcement which he said has destabilized civil servants. He said civil servants are anxious about the review, which will see some allowances and the pay scales eliminated. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.